ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing community responsibilities. Please grant this council wisdom to govern, keen thirst for justice and rightness, confident in what's good and fitting, and the ability to work together in harmony. We pray especially for our law enforcement officers, for first responders and healthcare workers. Please be with each of them and protect them and their families. Grant this council an assurance of what will please you and what will benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved Lakewood. Pray in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any changes or edits to the agenda?
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? Then the agenda stays adopted as written. We'll begin with the town manager communications.
Sure, thank you, Madam Mayor. First item I had on town manager communications was just to let the council know that the COVID pandemic thank you bonus was paid to fire and police. And I'm going to read this memo into the record if I may. It was to Chief Humphreys and police officers and Chief Wade Casper and firefighters from the town manager. Dates July the 7th, and it's COVID-19 pandemic thank you bonus. The Lakewood Town Council, I would like to express deepest appreciation to you for keeping the town of Lakewood safe during the COVID-19 pandemic stay-home order. As you know, the town created an alternative work schedule for many town employees. Some were placed on call, some work remotely from home, some work every few days as needed. Some were here every day that did not absolutely have to be. You worked a normal shift. You were here. We didn't have a way to offer you an alternative schedule. This is why we wanted to do something special for you. Please know we appreciate each and every one of you. After all the taxes and everything was taken out of that, each received $650 as a thank you from the town and the town manager. Those guys staying on duty, having to do what they always do. There was nothing else we could do for them. Some of the other employees we did, but we could not do anything for them, and that's why we did this. So that has been distributed. I just wanted to report that. The next item was the budget, the new budget that was passed in the CIP. As council knows, we passed that budget. We're going to have a community meeting on July the 28th to explain that budget more and solicit questions from the community. And Laura Creechy is just going to talk to us about that format and how that's going to proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So before you have a copy of the layout of the gymnatorium. As you know, this meeting is scheduled for July 28th. It will be at the Lake Lure Classical Academy Gymnatorium. We have 3 sessions, with one at 10, one at 2, and one at 6. You have before you an outline of our program. And so I think everyone here has seen this before, so you kind of have an overview in mind of the meeting, but we're very pleased that we will have consultants from each of our major areas to include the sewer, the dam, the dredging, engineers, as well as our financial analyst and our new group that is going to be helping us with talking with our legislators, and that's the policy group. So we're very excited to have all of these people scheduled to be with us in person. We do know that this is a challenging time to be out and about. However, the gymnatorium provides a huge space which will allow us to have physically distant seating as we have here, and we will ask everyone to wear masks. We will have hand sanitizer, and we will all be very cautious as we're holding this meeting, not to have long interchanges after the meeting and such. We are going to ask everyone to submit their questions in writing, so we'll have cards there so that everyone can complete a card, and we'll make sure that our moderator will ask all the questions. We know some might be similar, so we'll make sure that all questions are addressed during the meeting, but following the presentations. And let me stop there and see if you have any questions. One additional note, although we do have physical distance seating and will require masks for people who are attending if they're able to wear them, we do plan to videotape this meeting so that if there was someone who didn't feel comfortable coming out, we certainly realize that. And so we'll be videotaping the meeting and taking minutes at the meeting, so we'll be able to share both a link and a summary of the meeting following the meeting.
How's our response so far?
Thank you for asking. We've had over 60 people who have signed up. We have a registration link that we have shared through Facebook and our website and through an e-blast. So if anybody hasn't had a chance to register and you'd like to, you can certainly do that with me this evening or following the meeting, or you can certainly email me. And I've also offered for people to submit their questions to me in email, and we have received a number of questions ahead of time, so we'll make sure to incorporate those. Thank you for asking.
Pretty good response, I'm pleased.
Considering our current circumstances, I think so.
Laura, is it fairly well distributed among the 3 different times?
It really is. It's pretty equal among the 3 different sessions. So it's good that you had the foresight to offer those 3 different time options, because we know some people are working or have childcare responsibilities, so.
I would say one thing we could encourage, and a lot of the folks are regulars, and we appreciate that you're regulars, but encourage them to pass the word to please get online, see this, and make reservations.
Absolutely.
Become a part.
If you have received an electronic copy of the invitation or you've seen it on Facebook, please do share it with others, because our intent, of course, is to have as many people as present as possible. It's really a very important meeting, and it's a rare opportunity to have all of these experts together to help us guide our future. Okay.
Laura, thank you so much for doing all this. I know you've put a tremendous amount
Thank
of time and effort into planning it, so
Thank you.
very
My
much.
pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Next item, I just wanted to brief council on, I'm going to let Kurt do that, and that's about our sewer. Kurt talked to us just a minute about the SOC and the EID, where things are with those. They're going to us.
No?
Yes.
Okay.
And at the end of that, tell us a little bit about the drum gate voice replacement that you oversee.
Okay. As far as the SOC, it has been submitted. It's several drafts of that were circulated by the appropriate individuals who needed to provide input. And we believe that it's being very well received by the regional office. They're being very cooperative, helpful actually, in making some positive comments about it. So we look forward to getting their comments back. It's in their camp right now. We're waiting for their feedback. And then on the ER and EID, it's currently underway. The Labella and Reese Walsh is here with Labella back here. They're vetting all the alternatives. We have a weekly conference call Tuesday at 10 a.m. and they've been very thorough. Several of them have been over 2 hours long. We are turning over every rock and stone, and it's been very, very good. And What is the anticipated date, Reese, on the submission?
Mid to later August.
Okay.
And just as a reminder, the EREID is basically the loan application. Paperwork has to be submitted that describes how we're going to begin the placement of the sewer. So without completion of the EREID, then we cannot secure the $2.5 million that we know is basically been pre-approved before, but we're just having to go through the process again, since we have a different product. Drum gate hoist replacement.
Drum gate hoist replacement, that's complete, certified to it. We did have a few hiccups with it, but we got over those. And you have a brand-new hoist, and should last 30 to 50-year time frame or more.
Thanks. Is there anything else you'd like to brief the council on while you're up there?
No.
Thanks. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt.
David's gonna talk to us just a minute about the ABC store culvert. The estimated date, what was in the ground, what had to be done, under what circumstance, and where we are with that. So, David, please.
Well, basically, everything we had there was bad. We took all the existing pipe out, which has probably been in 50-plus years at the ABC store.
How do you know that, David?
Well, there was a catch basin that was buried in there many years ago when it was built, and there was some Coca-Cola bottles laying down, buried in beside it from 1965, from the Shelby Bottling Company. So that gives us a pretty good idea that that was done around.
Oh, with archaeologists as well.
That's exactly right. But we went from where it discharges out in the water all the way up to the tunnel that DOT owns. So everything in there now is brand new, 4-foot diameter, double wall HDPE pipe. Every joint where it's coupled together has been poured in concrete. We poured concrete around it and up to the bulkhead of the tunnel. So there's 100 foot of brand new HDPE pipe in there with 30 yards of concrete poured around it. That's gonna be there for many, many years. We basically started it last Thursday. If my paving contractor makes it in here this coming Thursday, in 1 week's time, we will be done with that project. So it moved along pretty well. Thank the good Lord it was dry, but everything seems to be working out pretty good. So
Thanks, David.
that's all I got.
Any questions?
Any questions?
on that?
Good enough?
Yep, thank you, David. Two other items I just want to mention is the bridge that's over the dam. As you know, DOT has basically issued a letter basically saying that it doesn't meet standards and is in need of replacement. And so they are actively trying to find a way to cross the river, cross the lake. We've been working with them on different options. And so at the beginning of August, we were looking for some meeting dates, and we've sent out a Google response. If you guys will make sure that you complete that so that we can get possible dates back for us to talk with DOT. Now that we have more information about the dam, the condition of the dam, and really the two major options, which is we have what we've got, or we're building new one, we're in a better place then to start having conversations with DOT. Certainly in the area below the dam, downriver, is an area that's gonna have to remain reserved almost indefinitely, because at some point in time, even if we rehab what we have, there's gonna have to be a new dam. Place a bridge there would limit our ability to do that. So that area just needs to be preserved in perpetuity. So as we move forward, but please check your email and let us know when you can have that conference call with DOT. And we'll have Labella as well as Schnabel in that conversation as well. Last is insurance for the hydroelectric plant. As you know, our insurance carrier, the condition of the hydroelectric plant was such that they had concerns. We have made tremendous repairs and progress down there using Kurt Wright and as well as our new director. We're weeks away from finishing the small generator repair. We now have the rotor back in-house, it's being set, it's being adjusted, so that's on its way. The issue we have is insurance, and so we, insurance carrier basically said, hey, in order for you to be reconsidered, there are 6 items you guys need to get moving on. Kurt helped get the first 4 completed. They're pitching the last inning on the last 2 items, and we're very close to finishing those. That having been said, we did have other insurance companies come in and take a look at Hydroelectric to see if they were willing to insure it. And they felt like until basically these items are complete, they would not be interested. And so now we're looking at self-insuring or self-insurance. I think William is going to do a little research on that. William, do you have any thoughts on self-insurance?
I just got started on it. I had a conversation with Bob Oast, the former attorney for Asheville, the city attorney former, because I know that's how they ensure they have to apply some of their general liability, which is different, you know, but they self-insure a number of different risks. And I just remember him right before I left to come down here, just a general high level, you know, what's involved in that.
So
But it's essentially putting back money, ever how much feels appropriate, or investing it in some way to grow it, and it's just there if you ever need it.
So
It'd
it's
be fairly
legal?
simple, it'd be fairly simple thing to do, actually.
So it's legal, it's done, it's something we can do until we can basically put the finishing touches on the hydroelectric, and then at that time, we may RFP, insurance companies to take another look at it. So right now, it's gonna be self-insured, so we'll continue down that road and have something to do next month. So, I think the last couple of items I want to mention is the policy group is the firm that we've hired to help us lobby members of the General Assembly, keeping in mind that the type of costs that we're facing, we cannot cover as a town ourselves, and we have to have outside money. That's part of the meeting on the 28th. But the policy group is basically that firm is going to help us go after those monies at the state and federal level. As Laura mentioned, they're going to be speaking to us on the 28th, and they'll also be speaking to those who are present, describing basically the strategy and their plan of attack and how we're going to be doing that. And so that'll be a great opportunity for them to introduce themselves to the public. I think the last item I just want to report on is we're making real progress on the reservoir drain grant. Laura has been working on that. That is one of those items that's required by dam safety for our dam. It's a high hazard dam, and this is an element that's required. It's not there. And so Laura has been pursuing the grant. Laura, can you give us just a little update on that? That would be helpful.
So this grant opportunity is for the 2020 High Hazard Potential Dam grant through FEMA. And we have applied to cover this work, which is really design and planning for the reservoir outlet, as Shannon mentioned. And the total is around $185,000. This grant, as our last high hazard potential dam grant requires a 35% match. So the town would need to plan for $65,000 of that 185. And if we were fortunate enough to be awarded this grant, FEMA would provide $120,000 of that grant. We are expecting to know around the August-September timeframe. That's what we're told from the application process. Things don't always go as planned, as you know.
So I think another important thing to mention about this particular facility that we want to add to the dam is that it gives us the ability to access our sewer, sewer system like we've never had before. It allows us then to dredge and do things on the lake bottom like we've never had before. It also allows us to check that box off on the dam safety requirement. And so we're looking for multiple sources to fund this particular tool. And so we're looking at not only FEMA money, but we're also looking at $12.5 million loan, the DPI funds that Lavella is helping us with. Why? Because it's so important, it's so influential and impactful that we want to make sure we have multiple sources lined up to guarantee that we'll get this item done in short order. So that's why we're doing it. Laura's doing her part, and Lavella, they're pursuing another avenue as well. So we're tackling this from multiple ways.
I think, just to emphasize what you're saying, this particular grant, this application really illustrates and demonstrates the coordination that the town has between the specific engineers for the dam, which is Schnabel, and they're our primary engineer for this project, but it's in coordination with Labella, our sewer system engineer. So, and of course, Kurt Wright, our town engineer, is intricately involved in all of it. So it really demonstrates that coordination that we have between these critical projects that are taking place. And just in closing, I would say, additionally, if we were to be so fortunate to be awarded the grant, it also lines us up for construction funds for the 2021 FEMA High Hazard Potential Dam Grant.
So the dominoes are continuing to fall in our direction. So it takes time, patience, and some long-term things. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
I think just maybe the last thing I want to mention, in your packets, you have your monthly report from staff, but at the end of this fiscal year, we also placed basically a summary, a nice summary of all the items that we accomplished over the last 12 months by department. So that summary is there for your own perusal. We'll be glad to answer any questions. As you can see, the list of accomplishments are numerous, and the credit goes to the staff that we have here and the arduous effort that they put in to getting things done for this community. I'll continue to praise them for the work they do. They're highly professional and they're aggressive about getting things done. And we're trying our best to continue to empower them so they can move as fast, but in a methodical manner as we possibly can. So we appreciate their efforts, and this is a reflection of their work. That's all I have out there.
Thank you so much. We'll now move to item 5, our council liaison reports. David, would you like to start?
Yeah, so thank you, Madam Mayor. Utility Board did not meet this month. Next step for the Utility Board is to engage once Labella has the engineering report and environmental impact report done. We'll do some oversight of that. Labella reports that they're really close to a final concept. And what we'll need to consider, just as a heads up, is what policy we're going to need to set as a town in order to facilitate the completion of the project. So first step is take a look at the project, that's what we want to do, and then we'll have to take a close look at the policy of how we're going to implement that in advance so it all works together as we move forward. That'll be done, I think, on a joint session. The town manager has a joint session set up in August. Is that still on? For August 19th, I believe, to take a look at that. And so that'll be the next step for the Utility Advisory Board as we go forward. I have nothing else to report.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Kilby?
ABC Board did not meet last month, nor are they planning to meet this month. Things are going well at the ABC store. Sales-wise, it's amazing how close they are to the normal sales levels. I think that's indicative of the business that we have in town. We are continuing to do curbside, and the plan is not to change that at this point. The staff feels there. John D'Ambra, as you all know, is the manager there now, and has a lot of retail experience and is doing a great job. They feel like that with all the exposure from all the tourists and all that are here, they're better off doing their business by curbside. And so that's going well. It doesn't seem to be affecting the level of sales, and most people really enjoy doing that way. So that's going well at the ABC store. They have had an issue or two. If you've gone by for your favorite bottle that you purchased, they could be out because they've been so busy that they're having things that they're running out of. You know, the ABC store only gets 2 shipments a month, sometimes 3, based on how the days fall. And so, but they're back on schedule with that after they got through the July 4th holiday and everything. So that's back on schedule there. So I think they're doing a great job there with that. And, so on to the LAB. LAB meeting was July the 6th. The first thing I would report is a lot of you, maybe all of you know Bill and Barb Ashman, and they have sold their primary home here. They will still have a secondary home here, but Bill is not going to ask to be reassigned, reappointed to the LAB. They are moving, and so this was his last meeting on July the 6th. And Bill's been a very important part of this community for lots of years and been involved in a lot of different things. And so we had a little patch cupcakes and stuff at the LAB meeting for Bill, and so he'll be missed. He's made a lot of contributions to this community in a lot of different ways, not just through the LAB for a lot of years. Let me see. LAB spent a lot of time in the meeting discussing the challenge by this council to make the lake self-sustaining, and so they are still in the process of looking at that, looking at fees, trying to determine the best way to be fair, but to meet the goals that council has given to them, to try to identify ways to make the lake self-sustaining. They have a lot of ideas, and they've had great ideas. They're putting lots of thought and everything into it. And so they're continuing with that process. They meet on the first Monday of each month, and you want to come and sit in on it. There's some of you that do come, and I've been part of that board 25 years ago for a long, long time, and it's important what they do, and it's even become more important what they do with the things that we're asking them to do as council. So that's where they are on that. A lot of things were discussed during that meeting. The town budget, lots of different things, lots of things brought up. I think it produced a very healthy discussion from a lot of different angles. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to take too much time here. At the meeting, Dean Gibbons introduced Dana Bradley to us, who's the Parks and Rec person, and she's, from what I keep hearing, we found a real jewel there with a lot of experience, and I'm going to really be a big asset to the town and to the Parks and Rec department with her background and experience that she has. So happy to have Dana with us. One of the discussions was the V-Drive boats, the surfing boats that you see, and the number of them that we're getting, and their use of the lake and how they're used, and the wakes that they produce, and the weight that they have because of the bladders that they fill. We do have weight limits on boats on the lake, and a lot of these boats, once they pump water into these bladders to make them sit like this, so the waves are suitable for what they're designed for, are becoming an issue. So they're looking into that. LAB is looking into that, and so I don't want you as citizens to think that they're not aware of it and working on it, because because they are doing that. Mr. Hasselfuss is here tonight. The threadfin shad has been released into the lake. That's the bait fish that we put in each year. That is what is making our fishery grow like it is growing. I saw a bass under my boathouse one night last week that was amazing. And, you know, the water's warming up and they're going down, but I'm telling you, that's about the biggest one I've seen in a long time. So a lot of those things are great things. And Madam Mayor, I apologize a little longer than probably I should, but I thought it was important things and I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Mr. Moore.
Since Mr. Kilby took longer than he should have, I feel obligated to take less time than I should. The zoning and planning, board met on June 16th at 9:30. They always meet the third Tuesday every month, at 9:30 when we meet. And we really haven't had any business for zoning and planning, nothing to, no modifications required by council or anything, for a number of months. And we really just met to, just because we hadn't in a long time. And we reviewed the town center traffic study that we did a number of years ago, brought some of the newer members up to speed on that. There was just some brainstorming about, how to, hopefully maybe relocate some power lines at some points to improve, folks' views. Mitchell gave us an update on, where he is with bringing the recommendations to us to bring our zoning ordinance up to the, or to match up with the new requirements that the state has put on us. And that's kind of a tedious process, but he'll have something for us well before the deadline, and we can, go over the details of that. I have not seen anything in it yet that's of any, you know, earth-shaking significance. I hope our next meeting will be equally as exciting. It'll be on the third Tuesday of this month, next Tuesday here at 9:30.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Brilliant.
Lake Structures Appeals Board, met, we had one item on the agenda to approve a garage apartment, that was in construction on a house already, based on the specs, that's out of Blue River Point, that was approved. Board of Adjustment had nothing to meet. The July 28th meeting of LSAB and BOA has been canceled, so that will not interfere with the, community forum that's happening. So, it was kind of side-ended with the timing there, but, that is now canceled, so. Parks and Rec Board met on July the 2nd, and went through several things. Dana Bradley gave her first official report as the Parks and Recreation and Trails Coordinator, and to echo Commissioner Kilby, we have found a gem in Dana Bradley. She is going to be an incredible addition to our Parks and Rec department here. So for Dana, she did go through a lot of things about Weed Patch Mountain and the Trail to Eagle Rock. Larry Kajowski brought to light that Conserving Carolina's 10-year contract is now at completion, and they are no longer working on those trails in conjunction with the town of Lake Lure, but with Dana and Larry, they are working together to look at some of those different areas and overseeing the town's trails. So Dana spent a lot of time out on the trails looking at those different areas and looking at the trailheads. There has been some slight vandalization at a couple of trailheads due to increase in traffic flows up there. So she is working on that with Mr. Gibbons about the plexiglass up there. So the Ditmer Watch Trail, the counter numbers are going up. Mr. Ditmer and Ms. Bradley did talk about some work that needs to be done on those trails, and she is going to be getting to work on those, as well as an alternating plan for Raptor Ridge that's going to be up there. So. At the Flying Bridge, they put a new mirror on the wall, so living wall of plants, so go up and make sure you check and see that. They do have signs up requesting visitors to wear masks and they can't socially distance from each other. And they are working right now on some mentoring programs to transition some of these gardens over to new volunteers. So some of those folks have been on board for a very long time, and they're looking for a mentoring program to work on that. So To back up just a little bit, Dana and Mrs. Mobay talked about volunteers for some of these trail pieces as we are looking at taking on some of these projects ourselves. Ms. Bradley, due to COVID pandemic, is going to employ the current roster of volunteers, and as the situation changes, we will be soliciting volunteers from the public and the community for that. So, the golf course had its busiest month in June since 2012. So, it's reported for them there. So, one of the other items that will be on the agenda a little later, as you all know, the July 3rd fireworks were canceled this year. That cancellation was in lieu of a deferment of the deposit for a new date for the fireworks, and the Parks and Rec Board solicited a vote for fireworks to be held on Labor Day, Monday, September the 7th. So that will be under new business here in a little while to discuss. So, next Parks and Rec meeting, first Thursday of the month of August at 1:30.
Thank you so much. That's all then for our liaison reports. We will move to public comment. Is there anyone in our audience who would like to step up to the podium? Please state your name and your address, and we would love to hear you speak for 5 minutes or less.
It'll be less. Hi. My name is Phil Rotano, and I live at 135 Hawks Nest Trail. John Ward mentioned during the invocation about beautiful town, beautiful area. Thank you for the segue. One of the things that, as a representative of the Rumbling Board, POA Board, I'm vice chair, so I'm coming here also as a representative of the particular board. We have a recycling policy in this community. We all know about the information that's in the website. It's well documented, but buried. I think what we need to do, this is not only the town, but this is also the community itself, and also the residents. We gotta find a way to ratchet up. We gotta try to find a way to get people to understand the value and the need to recycling. I'll give you an example, one of several. But in the website, you specifically mentioned that the closest recycling center is Bills Creek. I'm not sure, according to me, even myself, how many times people here go from here to Rutherfordton or here to Hendersonville, where going down to Rutherfordton, right behind Green Hill, you know, the nursery and garden center, right behind here, is a recycling center. I mean, it's so much more convenient than Bills Creek. And quite honestly, I found out that through just looking at the county's website and finding out what's available. But a lot of people in my neighborhood, a lot of people in my community are not aware of that. All they think about, everyone says, well, I gotta wait till I get enough to go to Bills Creek. So what I'm trying to emphasize is that to keep this area beautiful and to keep it more beautiful, one of the key things that we can contribute that's in our control is obviously recycling. And I think that what we need to do is we need to ratchet up, we need to make it more public, we need to make it easier for the residents and the guests of this community. Again, how many times we go to Rutherfordton and past that? How many times we go to Hendersonville and past the Edneyville facility? So if there's something we can do to make this more obvious, to make this a priority, to keep this community clean and pristine, I think I would, and of course the community would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? All right, we'll then move on to our consent agenda. Do I hear a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the consent agenda is approved. We'll now move on to unfinished business. I don't see any unfinished business listed on the agenda. No one else has anything else on unfinished business. We'll move to new business. First order of business is to adopt the town manager's second employment agreement addendum. Do I hear a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we adopt wrote, the more I thought about it, really the more impressed I am with the job that we have, with the job that he's done over the past few years. We're tremendously fortunate to have, Shannon as our manager, who has the education, experience, knowledge, and the work ethic that we need in an administrator. He has a thorough knowledge of the town's operations and the issues that we face. He's done an excellent job of making council aware of issues needing attention that have long been neglected. He's not brought a personal agenda, but has aligned his efforts with the direction given to him by council. He's not allowed himself to be drawn into politics on any issue. He's not influenced by individuals who occasionally push agendas that are not in the best interest of the town. Shannon simply gathers the facts, presents his recommendation to council, and proceeds as directed by council. He's put in place systems that make our operations much more efficient, and has assembled a very competent team to address our infrastructure and our needs on a daily basis, both our contract vendors, employees, and our town staff. And I think he's earned the respect of his department head, so I'm very happy and proud to make the motion that we extend his contract.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that one.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then, we adopt the town manager's second employment agreement addendum. We will now move on to the second order, the wastewater treatment plant sludge removal bid approval.
That would be LaBella. Please.
Good afternoon. It's nice to be with you this afternoon. To give you a little context, as we were doing investigations at the wastewater plant, we became aware of a solids issue, namely the accumulation of solids in the sediment basin and the clarifier and in the existing digester that are compromising the treatment process and are, if left unattended, will eventually result in the failure of the process at the plant. And at Shannon's request, we solicited bids, competitive bids from contractors to do a sludge removal, haul, and disposal. We opened bids last Thursday. We had $160,000 in the budget, and the low bid came in at $102,012. So we are under bid. I have gone through their bid. Their bid is in order. They provided their certificate of insurance. Their certificate of assurances are in order, and I've contacted their references, and all of those are in order. And so what I'd like to present to you tonight is a recommendation that we award the contract. We have expressed that time is of the urgency. So upon notice of award, they will submit a schedule to us, and once we approve that schedule, we'll move forward with the contract documents.
Can I hear a motion?
I move that we approve Synagro as, and approve that bid for the removal of sludge from Lake Lure wastewater treatment plant.
Your second?
I can second that, and we have already budgeted for this, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so.
All in favor?
Madam Mayor, if I could add in, just for the folks that may be wondering, and there's a little bit going on behind the scenes for this. So the sludge in the wastewater treatment plant has been building up for about 15 years since they emptied that last thing out again. And it's at a point where we have to do that. Doing this, getting this done right away does a couple of things for us right away. it'll get the plant moving again and up to speed, probably until we get the new plant online. So this interim measure will buy us time to get the new wastewater treatment plant online to be good to go. That's important. The second thing it does for us is we have the special order consent in to the state for review. That moving in this direction, which is the first time we've really done anything in the plant in years, is building huge confidence with the state to take a look at that special order consent and to partner with us as we go along. So this is a huge investment for us. It's at a good price, and I thought I would just add that for the people of Lake Lure to understand that we're making significant advances with our sewer system and wastewater treatment.
Thank you so much for explaining that to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next order of business is the 2021 Independence Day Celebration Fireworks Event. It's a joint request from Lake Lure Properties, Lake Lure Tours, and the Chamber of Hickory Nut Forge. Laura?
Hi, so, obviously the 3rd of July fireworks was a great topic, probably at the last meeting, right? So we wanted to, with all the focus that the town has on infrastructure, we wanted to kind of offer an opportunity to remove that distraction of a 4th of July event. The chamber owned that event for several years. I think there was a refocus last year from Kevin, who wanted to have something for the town. So as a chamber and partnering with Lake Lure Property and Lake Lure Tours, we wanted to propose that the chamber take that event back for next year. Obviously, events have been canceled this year. We need that. We could stand to promote that and do some things with that. Because we've done the Dirty Dancing, I know traffic was a concern for police. We've managed that very well through getting shuttles and things, so we think it being on a weekend, we have the ability to probably manage that and get some partners to support the chamber and that event, sorry. And so, you know, and then, of course, partnering with Lake Lure Tours and Properties and having that backing behind us, which we didn't have in the past, we thought it was a reasonable request.
Any questions from the council?
I'd like to make a comment on this if I can. We oscillate back between July 3rd and July 4th. When you look at your other municipalities in the area, July 4th is also a target date for them. Obviously, it's the actual national federal holiday. And because of our traffic infrastructure concerns that we have here, sidelining our July 4th fireworks event with other municipalities will help reduce some of the competition of people trying to tail in fireworks on the 3rd and the 4th in two public locations. So you have Hendersonville, you have Forest City. All these are also doing them on the 4th. So you'll have people that will come here, but others will go a little bit closer to home on the same day.
Disperses the traffic.
And it is a Sunday, it is a weekend, but because you're hosting something like that the same day many other municipalities are, I think you're gonna reduce some of the traffic flows we've had in years past, but still have a great turnout, so.
Any other questions?
Any questions?
Thank you. Do I hear a motion? Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion that we have the Chamber of Commerce in partnership with Properties and Tours take back over the fireworks event for July 4th, 2021, and then in cooperation with county infrastructure and department heads to ensure its success.
Absolutely.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
All right.
Thank you.
The motion passes. Thank you, Laura. Okay, we'll move on to the water vessel towing and transporting of stranded vessel occupancy policy. Dean, or you want, or who's gonna? Chief Humphries. Enlighten us.
On Memorial Day, this past Memorial Day, we had a reserve officer towing a boat. On the process of towing the boat, the tow rope and actually the clamp failed. It swung back, hit the occupant of the boat he was towing in the face, severely injuring their eye. Based on that, we got together and tried to think of, what we wanted to do going forward. Got with the League of Municipalities and actually the risk manager Amy Wisnett for the league, and she highly suggested that we don't take part of this practice any further. With that information, I got with the fire chief and Dean as well, lake director, and we come up with the policies that's before you.
Are there any questions for Chief Humphreys or?
Madam Mayor, if I may just make a comment, so working closely with our town attorney, you guys have crafted this document to serve as guidance
Yes, sir.
in the future
Yep.
regarding this particular.
We crafted it, sent it to Amy Wisnett, the risk manager for the league. She liked what we crafted, and we also sent it to the town attorney, and he was the same. After some recommendations, which we implemented, they were all satisfied with what we come up with.
And that's what you have here.
Are there any questions? If not, do I hear a recommendation that we approve
Yes,
this
Madam Mayor,
policy?
I move or make a motion that we adopt the water vessel towing and transporting of stranded vessel occupancy policy, and we approve of a general release of liability form for the transfer of disabled boat occupants.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the policy is adopted. Thank you so much for doing that. You may be the next person too. Our next issue of business is to adopt an ordinance concerning picketing in the town of Lake Lure.
So I'll be in that, Mayor, and Michelle's gonna talk to us a little bit. So, the chief and Michelle working together realized that we were lacking, provisions in our ordinance to address picketing, and given the state of affairs in the country, they were very wise in working together to pull something together. So I think Michelle, basically has taken the lead on this. We appreciate our clerk doing that, and so I think she has a little bit to say to us about it.
So the current ordinance that I've drafted requires a notification to the chief of police for a group of 10 or more who want to picket in the town. A 48-hour notice is required. They can picket in front of town hall between the marquee signs, or in front of the beach between the beach houses. And the ordinance that's in the packet is actually not the current one. I've made some revisions based on Shannon's input. And so if you look at section 66.03A, page 79, that will be reworded, or has been reworded, it's not in this packet, to say that picketing may be conducted on those areas I just specified. Also, in that same section under D, signs will not be allowed except for handheld signs and body sandwich board signs. Is that right, Shannon? Body sandwich. So D will be reworded to say that. The attorney has reviewed this and is satisfied.
I'll make a motion that we approve this ordinance with the modifications that Michelle mentioned.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Right, and that stands as adopting the ordinance with the rewording.
All in favor?
Oh, all in favor, I'm so
Yes.
sorry.
Aye.
Well, it passes. All right, thank you so much, Michelle, for doing that. Let's move on to Town of Lake Lore's fireworks event.
And that's Ms. Freeze.
So as Patrick mentioned, the Parks and Recreation Board made a recommendation to host the fireworks event on Labor Day, and some specific reasons for the date were that it is on a Monday, so we thought that one of our challenges is not having a large grouping of people that aren't able to social distance. So I think the recommendation from Parks and Rec was made to hold the event on this date because it is a Monday, and we thought we would have a reasonable amount of people in town for such an event on a Monday. And additionally, I think there is an opportunity to really acknowledge first responders, even though they're going to be working hard to manage the event, but to really lift up and acknowledge all those who are essential workers during this event. So it's an opportunity to really highlight those healthcare workers and other essential workers, first responders and such. So that's the recommendation to the board.
Okay, thank you.
Mark, you had any comments, pro or con on doing it on Labor Day this year?
Well, I haven't heard any negatives. However, I don't know how many people would have been aware of it since we just had that meeting a couple of weeks ago. So let me just reach out to Commissioner Bryant. Have you heard any negatives from?
I have not heard any negatives, no. I think one of the pieces being Labor Day weekend, it's gonna be a busy weekend already. In light of the COVID pandemic, perhaps a community-centered function for our residents could be just the thing that we need to bring the community together for an event such as this to support our first responders, firefighters and such, and really kind of hone in on our community, and maybe not necessarily a huge public event. The public will come, but being a Monday night, that's September 7th, I think is appropriate in light of our current circumstances with COVID, so.
I think part of the discussion was about not broadly publicizing this so that we don't encourage more than we would want, again, to not be able to social distance or have physical distance if we were to receive a large number of people. So really to focus the marketing on our internal community, as Commissioner Bryant said.
I would add that I attended that meeting and felt like it was well vetted by that board, and there was solid consensus by the PRD on this recommendation. So it was overwhelmingly so.
Is this something we need a motion on?
Yes, because this will transfer the deposit from July 3rd cancellation to this date.
So do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion that we approve the transfer deposit from the town's July 3rd fireworks to Monday, September 7th as a Labor Day fireworks celebration for the community.
Also.
All in favor?
Thank you.
And you are approved. That is the end of our new business unless anyone else has anything else.
Madam Mayor, if I could, just a moment, make a couple of comments. I would have, we got through the thing on the approval of Shannon's, contract thing, but I just want to say in general this, that having lived here 29 years and having been involved for a lot of those years in different ways of the town, under Shannon's leadership, I think we have, at this point right now, I think I look around at the departments and the department heads and the employees we have and the employees we have in this room and all. I really think I could say that we're at the best point we've ever been with the quality of people that we have, with the volunteer boards that we have, everything in general. I just think it's the best that it's ever been. And I'll have to say that we're without question facing the biggest crisis and issues that we've ever faced. And so I feel comfortable with Shannon and with Shannon's staff. We know what we see with all that's put into it. Dustin and Chief and you know Dean and everybody that's here, Amy and just Sam and David. And I hope I didn't miss anybody. And Kirk, what an addition, and not just our staff, but all the people we've got that we're using, like LaBella and Snobble and all those things. And, you know, we had a brief period there, and I'll say this, when we had Kevin, and that was a big, his background was such that he just brought a lot of things in the short time that we had him as mayor to make some of this happen. But I just want to say what a great place I think we are as a town, as town staff. We've got lots of issues, there's no question. They're not easy, there's no question. But with this council, with this mayor, with the town manager, we're doing the best in addressing things in a way they've never been addressed before to try to move this town forward.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else anyone else would like on new business?
Madam Mayor, if I may, we've asked Kurt, we've crowned Kurt King of the Lake Lowering schedule. So he has pulled together a particular schedule, and everyone has that. Kurt
I've reached out to all the appropriate people who should have some input on this schedule. This is just a simple Excel spreadsheet. Each column, the date is Monday of the week, and it starts November 2nd. The lead on the work that needs to be done is the penstock inspection. So that's under Dean Lindsay's purview. And he has requested that the lake be drawn down during the time frame when Duke is not paying as much, off-peak he calls it. December is a peak month, January is a peak month. So the hit is greater to draw the lake down on December and January. So that left November. And the amount of time that it takes to draw it down, approximately 9 feet, which puts it a couple feet below the threshold of the intake structure, is about 9 days. So there's 18 days. You got to fill it back up at a foot per day too. It's a foot per day drawdown, foot per day backfill if you get the rain. So there's 18 days plus a 2 days extension for the inspection. So there's 20 days. So you've got to fit 20 days in here. If we start on November 2nd, if everything goes well and you get the rain, it should be back up to full pond at November 21st, which is 4 days before Thanksgiving. Now, the one thing it just should point out, that means the lake will be drawn down during the leaf season. And I know a lot of people want to drive around and come visit Lake Lure and for the leaves, and the lake will be down. But the reason that time period again is picked is because of the off-peak month. So that drives the lead on the top of this chart. And then I've communicated with Dean Givens about his dredging operation. He's very flexible. So whatever date Dean Lindsay wants for the penstock inspection, that's when he'll be out there doing his dredging. And so that's why there are no dates specified in the black box. It's just that's when he's on to do the kind of dredging that he can do when the lake is drawn down. And I've also communicated with Reese Walsh with Labella. They're going to have the dates when the lake is at its lowest, which would be November 11th and 12th. They're going to bring in contractors, invite contractors to come and have an opportunity to look at the lake. Those contractors are interested in bidding on the construction for the new sewer system. They'll have an opportunity to come and actually see what the lake shore looks like, the back shore we call it, which presumably is where the HDPE pipe will go in. And that will be very helpful for potential bidders when they're submitting their bids. And then there are other needs that Labella will have: geotechnical investigation, drone footage, bathymetric survey. Those items need to be done during that time frame. And the drone footage is important because even though we did a flyover the last time the lake was drawn down, the resolution is not as great as needed to be able for the engineers to see all the intricacies of all the lateral connections. So that's the need for the drone footage. And then Schnabel really does not have any input. They have no need, no activity to be done during the drawdown. So this is a draft version for you to look at and provide your feedback. And unless somebody requests a change to this, this is as it stands right now in its draft form. You have any questions?
Yeah. Sir, I remember there was discussion at one time of asking the folks who did the pipe route if we could do it, the drawdown a little later in the year, but I guess we didn't get an affirmative response to that.
Well, the individual, it's FRP Construction Company. I've been in communication with them, and they know it will be sometime near the expiration of the warranty, which would be November, December, in that time frame. So they're just asking me to give them the date so they can put it on the books. And we did request Jimmy Tafoya. He was the superintendent of the work, and obviously intimately involved with the Quake Wrap. And we specifically requested he be on the team, so that FRP will come down with about 3 individuals. There is a proposal I submitted to town manager for their fees for that, and then we'll go in with their team. We have to have confined space entry considerations to take into account, air movement, and so on. But they are planning on coming.
But my question was, since this is the first week of November, it's pretty prime for
Correct.
leaf season, and I know there was some part of that inspection had to be done within 12 months.
That's right.
And, so this is as late, we couldn't do this in, December rather than November.
Actually, the first draft, I did have it in December. And Dean Lindsay provided feedback that's reminded me it was a peak month. So it will cost the town more in lost revenue to Duke Power to draw it down. So he requested it be moved to a off-peak month. The first off-peak month nearest the warranty would be November, because December and January are both peak months.
How much money?
I don't know.
What, you don't know what?
I do not.
About twice as much. The rate is about half that from the peak and the off-peak.
So it's significant.
Yeah, it's a factor of 2, 2 times.
So if we're averaging 60K a month, you're looking at 30.
Yeah.
So we would lose about $30,000. And that's a guess, but that's a good number.
Yeah, it's a shame to have to lay down that week, but we
Mhm.
have to do it.
Well, again, this is a draft form for you to consider, take those things into consideration, and
That's why I wanted you guys to be briefed on it tonight, so you can start.
Right.
You need to give us your input, and we admit there's a balance between some of the, I mean, it's in the best possible way. There's the political side, there's the business side, and we just need to make sure we're striking the right balance. We can give you the business side, but ultimately, if there are, economic development issues or economy issues you need to bring to the table, we certainly want you to do that.
they finished the Quake Wrap January 9th. So technically, that would be the end of the warranty period.
Okay. What are our rates like in January?
January is another off-peak.
It's a peak month.
On-peak month.
Colder months?
Yes, colder months for heating, electric heating is prime. In November, as you know here, the mild months, September and October are where Duke doesn't need our power as much as they would the other seasons.
So, our decision's pretty clear then, is it worth $30,000 to the town?
That's
to-
it.
Yeah, that's our question.
Right.
That's
to
the
have
question.
it in,
Mhm.
put it off to, and I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm tending to think maybe it's not worth it, that we should do it in late December. But, I guess we need to solicit it, or, well, we don't have to get any, but we just have to decide, how long do we have to decide?
Well, so it's our official date, so we're trying to get this adopted so we communicate out to the public as soon as we can, so they can make adjustments. So it's our official date, but, it's totally in your hands at this point. We've given you all the technical data and recommendations, but, we will defer to your better judgment.
Well, my indication, just from, thinking about it right now, is that, we'd be better off to do it, later in the year, try to get it in right before the warranty.
And just for your information, if you want to do that, you can pretty much use very similar dates, because we wouldn't want it back to full pond probably before Christmas, I would imagine.
Okay,
So those similar dates would apply to Christmas time.
yeah, a lot of people come up here for Christmas. I don't know, what the rest of you guys think about it?
Yeah, I think pushing it later is a good thing too, with the Reno project this year as well.
Yeah.
We people weren't able to get their boats in until May.
That's a good point.
And you're talking about our residents here, and we're, you know, after Memorial Day weekend, they're getting their boats in. The further we can push this out, the more opportunity our residents have to utilize the lake for leaf season or Christmas. The families come into town during that time frame. If we can push it as far out as we can, for the annual permits for the lake use for our residents, it definitely is a boost for them too.
If we wanted to do this, inspections on the, have it available for them to inspect on the 8th or 9th of January, when would we have to?
Well, that would mean you'd be drawing it down during Christmas period.
Well, it would be, but it wouldn't be all the way down here, it would be coming down here.
That's correct.
Yeah.
9 days,
Takes 9 days to get it.
9 days to get it down, right.
Okay, so if we.
And I could talk to FRP Construction about how tight they are on January 9th. If it's January 11th or January 12th and there was a warranty issue. You're right, I could do that.
If they would give us a couple of weeks there,
Mhm.
let us start bringing it down,
After Christmas.
yeah, after Christmas.
What I'll do is I'll draft another version. I'll keep this version, and I'll draft a post-Christmas version,
Yeah.
and I'll communicate with, I'll find out what those exact days are, and communicate with FRP if they have a problem with that, because if we find a warranty issue, we will want them to fix it for free. And, right,
Realizing, in addition to that, the tourists,
Yeah.
people go out to take boats out during that period as well, you know, and that's a pretty big deal for a lot of people going down 9 feet. A lot of the slips and stuff are gonna be on the ground.
mhm.
Yeah, I think, if they would give us a couple of weeks, or, you know, ask for a month, and maybe they'll give us a couple of weeks.
All I can do is ask and
Yeah, and,
see if they'll cooperate.
And I'll make you feel a little better, getting back, if you actually think about this, for the money in the power generation,
yeah,
we're actually drawing the lake down with the generators. So it's not
Right.
really 20 days of down generator time, it may be
Right.
down maybe 12, 13 days.
yeah, if you draw it down with generator, making electricity then too.
Yeah, that's, my point is, it seems like it would be a lot, between the peak and the non-peak, but it actually isn't, because you're drawing down with the generator.
Okay, well, I think that's where we ought to go, if, I'm asking everybody else.
That's fine with me.
Yeah,
I
the
think
week of
that's,
the December 20th, January 4th sounds like the most perfect. It
Yeah.
gets through Christmas, and the week after, one more week to pull boats out of the water.
February is too far out, you think, or not?
yeah, I think that first 2 weeks, January is the perfect time.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay.
It's the coldest month, it's the time where everyone, kind of hunkers down anyway. But sensitive to those that are coming in for the Christmas holidays and spending time here, we gotta find that sweet spot, I think, that won't interfere with that.
Well, from my experience with, when I used to run a house on the lake, there's always people wanting it in December and for, New Year's, but after that.
Yeah, after New Year's, I agree.
After New Year's, no, yeah, so that would be the ideal time.
All right.
One of the things I want to be mindful of too, from just an operations standpoint, is for the geotechnical, the drone, and the bathymetric survey, because a lot of those folks will take holiday breaks too, over Christmas and tail end in that time, to make sure they're available to do those things in Labella will be really important too.
All right.
Just one more announcement. Amy Wright is going to come and make an announcement for us. Amy has been heading up our blood drive, so she's just open those dates on it.
The American Red Cross is going to be here at Town Hall on July 22nd. The blood drive will be between 12 and 5, and they are also testing for the corona antibodies right now. So please come donate.
Anything else? That concludes our new business then. We'll now move into our closed session. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion that we